Hey, welcome back, noobs. Let's go. We got a little basic episode here on electricity. We're not going to go on too long. If you watch any of my other videos, which I'm sure you don't, there is electricity stuff within the little container builds I'm doing, which is basically, I don't want to repeat myself too much. So we're going to go over some basic circuits today, some things that I think you should do in terms of being a solo and electricity. I hate telegraphing to the server that I have electricity going on in my base generally. So that's going to be my main topic here is hiding the fact you have it. I think this can be really strong. I'd really like you to answer this question in your head, honestly. If you're a Giga Chad raider, would you raid this or would you raid this? They're exactly the same, but one has 3 solar panels on top. Honestly, which one would you raid? Hey, I know I'm asking you something hard here because none of us here are Giga Chad raiders. But if I had to push you for an answer, I think a Giga Chad raider would raid the one with 3 solar panels, and I think this because he is going to assume the small base with 3 solar panels has electric furnaces, which means they're farming a lot, which means they've got sulfur. Plain and simple. Okay, so this brings me to my first point. Solar panel placement. Should it be north? Should it be northeast? Should it be 36.2 degrees? It doesn't matter. North to northeast, somewhere there is fine. Now, the only thing I will add in here, I was playing hardcore the other day and I didn't know where north was. So it's no shame in pulling out a compass and checking where north is on a hardcore server. Okay? That is absolutely fine. Now, a better place to put your solar panel is actually not on your roof. Find a bush within your TC range, so get out your building plan or your hammer and see where your building proof finishes. If there's a bush within that building proof, chuck your solar panel in there, okay? This is going to hide it. You'll be surprised how many people won't see this. Now, grab your wiring tool. And if you guys hold, well, it's up. It depends on your hotkeys. Mine's shift, but I think your default will be control. If you hold control and scroll your mouse wheel, your wire loop sags. It's not straight anymore. It's really easy to then hide it underground or in a rock like this. And then you can pull it into your base and no one knows any different. So basically, you hide your solar panel in a bush within TC range so it doesn't decay, and then Bob's your uncle. You've got power. No one can see the cable. No one can see the solar panel. And we're back to the Giga Chad wanting to raid the roof with the solar panels. Okay, now with every other Rust University, we're going to go over the basic of basics. Now, I'm sure you all know that the batteries only charge at 80%. So that means if you're putting in 20 power from the solar panel, you're only getting 80% of that. Now, the next point I want to bring up took me maybe 3 months to realize, even though I knew the batteries only charged at 80%. Linking 2 batteries together like this, I thought was an amazing idea until you have a power draw over, say, 11 to 12. Because as we just discussed, batteries only charge at 80%. So a small battery can only put out 15 rust watt minutes. Therefore, at 80% of that, you're only getting 12 out. So if your battery load is 15 and you're putting 12 into it, your battery's going to run out of power pretty quick. There's really no situation where I can think of that this helps. Sometimes I do series up batteries like this, but if you've got a solar panel charging the system and you have less than 12 on it, then what's the point? I mean, it's not like we're going to be storing a heap of electricity in the small batteries for an offline raid defense or something. So, yeah, I wouldn't bother. Now, a real simple light circuit just to come on at nighttime, I'll do here. There are situations I use this when my solar panel isn't in full sunlight. If I'm living in some random rock base or there's walls or something, and you only get like half the daylight, and you actually do need as much charge as you can during the day without draw on it. So all you need to do is the power coming in from the solar panel, you rip one power off with a branch and put it straight into a blocker. the rest of the power can go through to the battery. Yes, you are going to be losing one here, so it's only worth doing this if you need to save power, like reduce your load during the day. And then you can run your power from your battery output or your branch or whatever is powering your light through the blocker. And therefore, the only time that the blocker will allow power through is when your solar panel is not putting power into your base. Therefore, your light will come on at night. So we'll take off the solar panel charge here just to show you. There you go, the light's on. Now you can use blockers for an array of things. Blockers are an amazing part of the electrical system. I would recommend checking out my Wasteland Mechanic RP base. I use blockers all through that build to bring on auto turrets when doors get blown off, or open doors when doors get blown off. Like, they're a great piece of kit, and the more you use them, the more cool things you can do with blockers. Okay, we're gonna run through generators really quick here. I feel like I'm just spinning the same wheel here. I go on about generators in every one of my container-based builds. But if you haven't seen them, we'll quickly go over it here. I think generators are the best thing for a solo to have power. You're probably laughing at me and calling me a noob here, but you don't need to hide. Like, you can hide them inside. They're tiny. You can put them on a shelf. You can do all sorts with them. Now, power out for a generator, and this is when you're running 2 circuits. So if you've got 2 small batteries, you can run a generator which puts out 40, which is the equivalent of 2 solar panels. So basically you can split the generator output through a branch and it can power 2 separate circuits up. It's pretty easy to build a start-stop circuit for the generator, so I'll quickly rush you through that here. So we'll chuck it on. So you can see there's 20 going in there and 20 going in there from the generator. Okay, so for circuit number 1, if you just got one circuit, we'll just do one circuit first. So if you got one circuit, you can put it through a branch. Same thing as the solar panel, okay? We're going to run, except on the output side. So if the circuit has power, because it's coming out of the output, we run that through a blocker, and the circuit will block this start-stop battery, which is going to start the generator. Now, this battery on the floor here doesn't ever lose charge. It like starts the generator in an instant and it doesn't lose any charge. So you don't need to continuously charge it. It's literally just there to kick the generator in. Then you can run a signal wire from the full load battery to the generator for stop. So basically, as soon as the battery runs out of power, the blocker fails and the battery on the floor will start the generator. And then when the battery's full, it will stop the generator. So it's an automatic system. You don't have to sit there doing anything. The only thing you do have to do is top the generator up. Okay, if you're running 2 different circuits, just run each output through a branch. From the branch, run it through an AND switch, one into input A, one into input B, and use the output of the AND switch to block the circuit. That way, if either circuit goes dead, it will start your generator. Okay, we're gonna briefly touch on paralleling batteries. It's not often it's a good idea because it draws the equal amount from each battery. So if we plug this into the light here, you'll see 2 power will be coming from each battery, which just doesn't make sense, but that's what happens. So the only time it's kind of worth doing is when you're running at full load or you have a super balanced load sort of above 26 to 30. So if we put a splitter here into 3 turrets, which will take 30 power, you'll see that each battery is now only doing 15 and splitting it like it should. So in this case, it can be done. All right, I did promise you guys an automatic watering timer last episode. So here it is. We need 4 you need 3 branches and a blocker really. Now I've set this first branch up here just to show you that the whole thing can run on 4 power. That's the only reason that first branch is there. So we'll start at the first branch of the actual timer. From the first branch, we want to run 2 power all the way over to the blocker. And then through the blocker into this branch. Then we're going to split this. So 1 power needs to come back to the block. Like this. And you get this funky on-off thing going on because basically it's blocking the power which is blocking itself, and then it will block, and then the power will turn off, so the block will free up. Anyway, it does a little dance like that. The other side of the branch can go to the timer set. We're back down here, we'll run more our second branch power. So we'll have 2 going to the blocker, 2 going to this branch here. Basically split the power again, so 1 into each of the bottom of the timers. Now, the output of this timer just goes into the second one, and this timer goes straight into the toggle of our pump. Now, the bottom timer, you can start at about 60 seconds, and the top one at about 15, and then just see how your plants go. It all depends on your genes. I've just set it to 10 and 5 now so you can see it working. It's a pretty cool and simple timer, and the only other thing to note is that even though it takes 4 power, it doesn't actually use any, which is quite cool. I've somehow managed to bust over the 10-minute mark again, guys, so we're going to end that one here. I think the key takeaways from me is use small batteries. You can run 2 off 1 generator, and 2 can provide a lot of power. Also try and hide your electrics. As a solo, that is my advice. Hide everything. Hide your electrics. Hide the fact that you're good. Act like a noob. Embrace the noob. See you next episode.